Hey everybody, Ketwolski here, checking in with another one of our hashtag Star Trek Discovery discussion review videos. Today, of course, we're going to be talking about Star Trek Discovery Season 3, Episode 6, Scavengers. So I did a little poll on the YouTube channel and also on Twitter to see if you guys and gals preferred live stream reviews versus recorded reviews, and overwhelmingly, people said that they wanted it to be recorded, so we're going to continue on with the recordings. Thank you guys for those of you who participated in the feedback. I do appreciate it, and yeah, we'll keep moving with the recorded videos. So this video is going to be a little bit different. Normally, I talk very quickly about the things that I enjoyed and the things that I didn't enjoy. Today, I'm going to kind of flip that because, unfortunately, this is probably my least favorite episode of Season 3. I wouldn't go as far as to say that it totally sucked, but it just kind of fell flat, and there's kind of two main reasons for that, which I want to really get into. First off, one of the big issues that I have is the fact that this was the follow-up episode to Episode 5, and Episode 5 was so dense. It had so much information, so much story, so much stuff going on, and was just perfectly edited and really, really well done. And then you have this episode that kind of has, honestly, nothing going on. There's a plot that involves Burnham and Georgiou going to save Book on this planet with the big prison warehouse, and they have to break him out of there. They tried to throw in some other things going on there with the other characters and stuff like that, and they tried to also allude to this construct of the, Discovery having to potentially jump into a crisis or whatever it is, but none of that really went anywhere. So the B plots were just kind of empty scenes, in my opinion, and this just had the same kind of focused story, which was just the rescue of Book and a little bit about whatever it is that's happening with Georgiou. I think the issue that I have mostly in regards to the story of this episode is that when compared to how great Episode 5 was, it falls a bit flat. I think if this one came after Episode 4, this one would have felt a little bit better, but as they were kind of ramping it up, it felt like this one kind of dips it back down in terms of content in the episode. And my opinion on that may change after we get the entire season released. It's kind of the unfortunate situation with, these long story arcs and the way that these seasons are structured, but then the way that they are released week by week, it impacts the individual episodes and kind of, makes them kind of sink or swim for that week that's the only thing that we have. So next week it may actually elevate it a little bit more. When we have the whole thing, it may not be as bad, but right now where we are, where the story's left off with Episode 6, it was just a weak episode. That's really the best way I could describe it. It was just a bit weak. So the other thing that I really want to talk about that super bugged me about this episode is, so in Episode 5, we have a situation where the Dadmiral, the Starfleet CNC, the Dadmiral as I like to call him, he is doing a thing, right? And there's something going on, and he's making a decision, and he's made a focus. And in Episode 5, he had those decisions. Saru was there to support him up. Michael Burnham wanted to do something slightly different, and she fought with Saru. Then she figured out a way to kind of get around the requirement there by saying, oh, we'll jump to the seed planet and we'll go or the seed ship, and we'll go and try to help these aliens that are sick and all this other stuff like that. And she was able to kind of work her initial desire, which was to keep the crew together and to prove that the Discovery was worth keeping together. She was able to satisfy that while also satisfying some of the needs of the Dadmiral. And at the end of it, it was kind of like the Dadmiral was like, all right, you did good, but you got to check that attitude. Saru was like, okay, yeah, good job, Burnham, and I should probably be a little bit more flexible about that. And Burnham was like, yeah, I know, but I could also be more respectful. That was how Episode 5 ended. Now, Episode 6 is almost the exact same thing again, but ended completely differently, where we have the Dadmiral making a decision, Saru having to support that decision, and then Michael being like, nah, I don't want to do that. And instead of, like she did in Episode 5, thinking of a way to try to achieve her ultimate goal, which is to go and break Book out of prison, she just takes his ship with Georgiou and leaves and just completely abandons her post, goes AWOL, and just fucks off. And it really bugs me because that is such a disconnect from the character that we just saw. I understand that they're trying to play up that whole issue of her kind of respecting authority and following rules and stuff like that. But the last episode had her brilliantly thinking of a solution to that situation that enabled her to satisfy her primary goals while also being able to also help out the the Dadmiral and stuff like that. Where in this episode, even though she had a very serious problem, which was to get Book out of jail, she didn't bother to bring up and make her point again, because it was almost the same exact thing. It was all about this black box that they absolutely needed, which he appreciated at the end, the Dadmiral appreciated at the end, and them destroying that facility and freeing those people hurt the Orion Andorian syndicate that the Federation is currently fighting. Why they couldn't just write a situation where that it was just a sanctioned mission and that they could just, that her and Georgiou could just go on the adventure. Why does it have to be this illegal thing? It was very bizarre. That it just makes me scratch my head as to like, what the hell are we writing here? It's very weird that the way that she acted in this episode and the way that Saru acted in this episode is literally the opposite of the way that they resolved episode 5's conflict. They did the exact opposite. So at the end, Dadmiral still has the exact same position, which he reacts very appropriately, but then Saru's like, nah, even though you asked me to kind of be more open to your ideas and push back against the Dadmiral, you just totally did your own thing, and I'm super pissed, so you're fired now. And then he was also kind of sad about it. And then at the end, instead of Burnham being like, what the hell, I actually did a whole bunch of good here. If you would just listen to me more, this would be better. She's like crying in the hallway, and she's like, it's okay, Saru, that you did this, and I totally deserve to be fired. And it's like a self-sabotaging thing. And again, this may play out better in the later episodes, but from the way that things ended in episode 5 to the way that they crossed over into episode 6, it was very, very frustrating. It really made no sense. Like, why didn't she just get permission to go on this mission? And it's the permission to go on this mission. And it's not like the Discovery needed Burnham there in case they had to go fight, the Emerald Chain or whatever the hell it's called. Because later on in the episode, literally Saru says, we didn't need her in order to make that fight. So why didn't you just give her the permission to go save Book, mess up what the Emerald Chain's got going on with this, this huge facility where they're processing things, for this crime syndicate, and then also potentially get their hands on a black box that will clearly help answer more information about what happened during the burn, which is something that everybody is trying to look into. It was just very weird, and for me, it kind of took me out of it. I'm sorry, it just did. The whole ending sequence of this episode was really just horrifically written, and it was really, really just terrible. I didn't like it at all. Okay, so I know I just kind of shit on this episode a little bit for the last couple of minutes. Now I want to talk about some things that I absolutely did like. I loved the idea of getting the retrofit. I like the -A construct. Super, very cool. I love that. The alloy, of the ship, the whole composition or whatever you want to call it, that has changed now, but that may impact, some of the retconning issues of the Calypso short trek, but we'll talk about that in my theories video another day. We obviously had the nacelles being separated, which looks visually cool. I'm not sure I understand what the purpose of that is or what, but it looks really cool, and I hope that the sport drive still works or it doesn't just zap out and leave the nacelles behind. I don't know. Haven't seen it happen yet. So that, I like that. I thought that was really cool. I enjoyed the development of Adira in this episode. I enjoyed the development of all of our supporting characters, kind of like what we've kind of continued on. I don't want to keep harping on it because now it's almost becoming a bit normal in this show, which is a fantastic thing that we're continuing to explore and cultivate our, characters that are behind that, behind the main characters, those focus on those people in the background. I got a couple of theories about, that whole situation that I'll talk about in my next review video / theory video, whatever it is. But yeah, I did enjoy all that. I thought that was really great. I like the briefing sequence with the CNC and all the other captains there, and, kind of like Saru kind of trying to step in and being involved with what's going on and stuff like that. I'm hoping that at some point I know everyone's got the new badges, but I'm hoping at some point they get the new uniforms. I think they deserve to have the new uniforms. I think they look cool, and I would like them to have them, especially now that they have their refit ship, which is kind of cool. But ultimately, yeah, that was really about it. Georgiou's whole situation, I think, is a huge question mark. I don't want to say something negative or positive about it yet because that whole plot thread has not been resolved from her conversation in episode 5 with Cronenberg, whose name is Kovich or something like that. But Cronenberg's character, we haven't received the resolution to that conversation yet, so I don't want to say if it's a bad storyline yet or a good storyline yet. We're just kind of getting these weird flashes of something. He could have impacted her in some way. He could not have. I don't know. I'll talk about my theories in a different video, but ultimately, I think something is going on there that will be revealed at some point, so I'm not saying it's bad or good right now. I do appreciate the fact that she's getting more things to do other than just be, snarky in the background and kicking people in the head and blowing people out of airlocks or whatever. So I appreciate that she's getting a little bit more there, and I appreciate the dynamic between Michael Burnham and Georgiou. I like every time that they're together. They have a very crazy relationship. I do appreciate that. that. And I like how they both care for each other, but also keep each other at arm's length in some regards. I think that's really cool. I think it's fun. So I'm glad that we got more of that in this episode. So hooray, that's really good. But really, that's kind of about it. Some of the effects on the planet were cool. I liked when that ship fell out of the sky and landed on the building. I liked all those cool ships that they had in the sky that they were kind of like harvesting stuff off of, and some of the cooler Easter eggs like the phaser and stuff like that. Like there was some cool stuff like that, but ultimately there wasn't too much to really dig into on this episode because, again, it kind of didn't really have that much going on. I understand that they're trying to flesh out this idea of Burnham having issues with authority and stuff like that, but I did not like the way that they resolved that at the end of this episode, specifically because it was in such a stark contrast, in my opinion, to the way episode 5 ended, but that's just me. All right, guys and gals, that does wrap up my review/thoughts of episode 6. I am, of course, very curious as to what all of you thought about it, and hopefully you guys aren't too mean to me in the comments. I know there's usually a couple episodes every season that I go really harsh on. Maybe I'm being a little too harsh on this one. I don't know, but I am curious to hear what you guys and gals think about it. So get your comments up down below. And while you're down there, please throw a like and a subscribe up on the channel. It absolutely helps us out here and allows you to stay up to date with all the latest Star Trek news, movie reviews, TV reviews, all the great stuff in regards to the Star Trek universe. So I appreciate you guys checking out this video, and I'll catch you all next time. Live long and prosper, my Trekkies!